Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to just wait a minute or two since we just launched the webinar to allow some more people to join, but we'll get started in a minute. Okay, great. I see some more people logging in. Okay, yeah, so let's get started for the evening. Again, to anyone who just joined us, thank you very much for joining us tonight for the NYU Stern Executive MBA virtual student panel. Tonight, we will really focus on a Q&A session with a few of our current students that actually span across our EMBA New York and our EMBA DC programs. So for the format tonight, I will be asking our panelists some questions that were prepared in advance. Then I will shift it over to any questions coming in from the participants, the audience tonight. In order to ask questions, please use the Q&A feature that you see at the bottom of your screen. You can enter questions at any point during the panel, and then toward the end of the session, I will be asking our panelists some of the questions that came in from the audience. Okay, great. So I just want to start off the evening with having each of our students introduce themselves briefly. Just tell us your name, a little bit about your background, title, company, which program you're in, and what class. Crystal, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I can start and popcorn it. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Law. I currently work as a global associate recruiting specialist at Latham & Watkins, a global law firm. And I am part of the EMBA New York program, graduating in 2026, so August 2026. And I'll popcorn it to Michaela.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm Michaela Connolly. I'm part of the DC 26 EMBA program. I work for tech startups and now at a tech corporation in marketing, lots of event planning and newsletters and all of that sort of thing. So very excited to be a part of the program and on this web.
All right, and I'll finish it off. My name is Kathy Sabala. I work at Marathon Asset Management on the asset-based leasing team, where we work with aircraft shipping and equipment and purchase and lease out these large vehicles. And I'm currently part of the New York EMBA, and I am graduating January 2026, so J26 cohort.
Okay, nice. We're almost done. All right, great. Can each of you tell us a little bit about your cohort, maybe the types of students that are in your cohort specifically, and then as part of the program, especially in the first year, we place our students into smaller study groups. So if you can remember back to your study groups, tell us a little bit about like the makeup of your study groups and how that experience went in your first year.
I can kick it off. So study groups are usually set up on your first week of orientation, and it is comprised of different individuals, different backgrounds, and the EMBA committee makes a decision based on various backgrounds to put you in study groups that not everybody has the same industry experience, so that you have a broad exposure to different backgrounds and voices when working through projects, homework, etc. And so the first year of the program, since you are all taking the same classes throughout the first year together, I would say at least 95% of the time you will work with your study group for any assignments or group project or group work that is assigned by the professor. So in my study group, we had people that were entrepreneurs, some that had venture capital experience, some technology experience, and others finance experience. So it's nice to leverage depending on which class you're taking to ensure that everybody's able to broaden their horizons beyond just what they do on their day-to-day.
I can take it from here, Kathy. So yeah, the study group was really helpful. Like Kathy said, there was all different personalities and job experiences that we got to work with. So it was really great, and it helped keep you in check a little bit when moving through the projects. I joke that, we kind of each carried the workload at different points. If somebody had a lot going on, maybe one person carries that workload at the beginning, and then somebody jumps in later. So it was really great to have that like balance in our team, that we have all those different personalities, from go-getters to people that might wait to the last minute, and we were able to work together to incorporate all those personalities and get the job done. So it was really great to have the study group, meet new people, and just have a team to rely on. Crystal, if you want.
Yeah, I will just quickly add, my study group is definitely a diverse mix. We have I was working in the nonprofit when I started the program. Now I'm at a law firm. We had sales folks, tech folks, project management, engineering. So a really good cross section. And I'm just entering my second year. So I would say yes, we definitely worked a lot in our first year. Now we're kind of leaning on each other for support and check-ins, hey, how are you doing? I'm not in quant classes right now. So I am checking on my cohort peers a lot, but they're doing okay. And then, yeah, just to speak to the cohort itself, I think I was pleasantly surprised that there is such a diverse range of industries represented. Really, folks, we have a few doctors in our program. I mentioned some fields like tech, sales, marketing, PR, entrepreneurs, startups. Really, I think almost every industry is represented in some way. So it's been really cool to just work off of everybody's energy and just learn from the cohort.
Hey, fantastic. And I'm sure one question that's probably on everyone's mind here is, why did you choose to join the NYU Stern Executive MBA program? Why was it the right time for you now? And why did you pick NYU?
I can go first. For me, it was a dream of mine always. I loved New York, NYU, big fan of the school for a while. Why the timing was right is it's so different getting your graduate degree versus undergrad, because you're now in the work world, you have real life experience. Whereas when you're an undergrad, and if you studied business in undergrad, you kind of haven't yet applied areas into a real jobs. I was eager to get back to school after work. Going to be more
Oh,
impactful now than ever before. I'll pass it over to Crystal or Kathy. And I don't know if my connection went unstable there for a sec.
yeah, it looks like we lost you for a minute. I'm not sure what might help with that, but I'll let you know again if we lose you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Sure. Okay. Did anyone else want to jump in on that question, Crystal or Kathy?
Yeah, I can jump in next. So I have been in my professional setting in the financial services world for over 10 years. I knew I always wanted to go back to school, as I was eager to either, ride up the ranks in the job that or workforce that I'm in now. But I actually was from Chicago, and so I moved here about 3 years ago. And so at first, I thought the dreams were gonna not happen, but then I looked at NYU Stern, looked like they had 2 different application times. So for me, it worked out to do the little bit due diligence before I applied, and then make sure it was the right timing. I did have to ask work, just given where I work in my career. It's very high touch and high maintenance, so I had to get a special permission. But it was the best decision I've ever made. It's surreal that I'm almost done. It's definitely flown by. And if I could, I could stay forever if I wanted to, because the classes and the professors are incredible. But yeah, it's definitely been the best time. And I don't think there is necessarily a perfect time. Just do it whenever you feel is right. I don't think you'll ever be certain that it is the right time. Just go for it.
For me, it was an interesting decision. I actually went to NYU for my undergrad. I was part of the arts and science program though. So Stern was obviously completely different. And I had thought about doing an MBA like early on in my career. But then life just like happens, I really was focused on my roles in different companies. And I had also lived in different cities, but I'm from the New York area. And so I knew I would always come back. And so when I got back to New York, like pre-pandemic, I was thinking about how can I kind of grow more roots. And part of that was like with my professional network. And so the MBA idea came up. Honestly, I didn't know about an executive MBA at first, but after now I have over 15 years of work experience. I really felt like the executive MBA was the perfect choice. I did kind of do a lot of exploration. I think Kathy mentioned like do your research, do your due diligence. And so like I took time to kind of figure out what I was looking for. And honestly, like it's been NYU Start. And like this program has been perfect and really helped me kind of in so many ways. So it was really like like there was no perfect time, but it really did like everything lined up for doing this program.
Okay, great. And then sort of in line with that, did you have any concerns when you started the program in terms of or before starting the program, I should say, in terms of getting company support from your employer, in terms of managing family, in terms of work-life balance, did any of those things come up for any of you?
I can kick it off. So I think I mentioned in my previous answer, I did actually have to get permission from work, given the time commitment of roughly classes being every other Friday and Saturday. With work and just my day-to-day responsibilities, unfortunately, I'm not able to be fully off. I'm kind of online, always kind of checking during classes and during my breaks. I'm always working or, trying to get stuff done. But I know it's case by case. Some people have very easy, flexible schedules with their workforce. Some have to make arrangements like using PTO time. So I think definitely the earlier you start the conversation, the better, just so that your managers and your team can get comfortable and familiar. There was a follow-up question you also had. It was permission for workforce and then
Oh, if managing family expectations or
oh,
work-life, any of those.
and then I think the big one is definitely unfamiliar what the time management would be like. Definitely the first semester is a shock to kind of understand what is needed, how much time is needed, and it takes a little bit of trial and error to kind of figure out when to do homework, how to do homework, and how to work with your study group, plus maintain a social life, etc. I am, I guess, I wouldn't say fortunate, but I'm in a different position where I don't have a family, so I was able to, focus on myself and prioritize myself. But I know those that do have families definitely have to take an extra step to manage that. And I don't know if Crystal can speak on that or.
No, Kathy, I'm similar to you. The
Sorry.
timing was good for me too because I'm me myself at the moment. But I mean, I still have like, parents and like grandparents, extra family. So I think kind of setting that expectation with like your circle, like Kathy mentioned, your friends, your family, like just letting everybody know, hey, I'm going to be a little busy for the next couple of years and like my schedule is kind of crazy and it's adjusted. And I think for the most part, like all like everyone in my circles like have understood that and they're just like I like the people who are important in my life like are understanding and there's still time for them for sure. And then the other piece I'll add regarding work, I actually, as I mentioned, like transition jobs between while I was in this program. And so in my first role, I was at a nonprofit and I had spoken with my manager up front about making this application and kind of some going through the process, and she was supportive. And so we worked out kind of a flexible like work arrangement. Same thing even when I was interviewing to apply to the current role where I'm at now at my law firm. I kind of stated it up front. I'm sure it's like kind of a case by case basis, but I was able to kind of work out an arrangement to kind of make up any time missed. But I will, like Kathy, I'm kind of online on Fridays during classes. Like if we need to let my professor know, like I'll step out for a meeting, and it's just a little bit of like that juggle on Fridays. But I've been able to like make it work.
That's fantastic. And Kayla, do you want to add anything? Maybe you missed the question. I saw that you dropped off for a second. Are you with us? Okay, she may have lost the connection. Okay, we will move on to the next question, and hopefully we'll get her back into the session. Okay, so now that you all have completed your first year in the program, do you have any suggestions in terms of like balancing your professional and personal lives while completing the program?
Yes, get your homework done as soon as possible after the class weekend. So like I mentioned, classes are usually every other Friday, Saturday. The week that you have leading up to when you have class weekend comes so fast and you think you have enough time, but by some universal being, it all of a sudden everything is so busy that week for work and you have no time after work, and then you're scrambling and you're having to do late night homework and reaching out to people for help. So that's where I think in the first year the study groups were extremely helpful because they were able to support the weight of and counterbalance some of life's hiccups. But the second year, definitely you're hold a little bit more disciplined and you're more responsible. And highly suggest the sooner you get your homework done, you will be way better prepared. But it's easier said than done. So again, trial by fire at this point when you go for it.
That is like so real though. I mean, I've heard this advice. I talked to so many students before like going into the program, but now I'm just like laughing because Kathy is like totally right. Like even right now, like we're in midterms and close to finals already. And if I procrastinate, like I'm scrambling on Thursday night before classes to get my homework done. So don't put yourself in that position. I try to like block out time, like if I know I have a lighter day or an early morning, but I think like the earlier you get things done, definitely the better.
Okay. Michaela, are you there? Do you just want to, you can stay off camera. Do you maybe want to jump in on that question if you heard it? Or I can repeat it. I know your connection was a little unstable earlier.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Okay. Great, guys. I heard Kathy say about talking about keeping up with managing workloads, and I will
Yes.
totally agree with that, that those class weekends creep up on you quickly. And if you don't get on top of your work right away, next thing you know, it's like the week of classes and you have your reading and group projects and all of that. So as much as you can try to like manage work's really busy, you might, fall behind a little bit, but as best as you can to be proactive, your work done it's just going to put you in.
Okay. It looks like we might have lost Michaela again. If she comes back on. Oh, okay. All right. So my next question is related to the curriculum in a sense. So in addition to the class weekends that take place on campus, our students participate in a global immersion experience. One is required, the second one is optional. And I believe all three of our students here today have gone on at least one global immersion experience. This is a week-long trip to a market abroad where students are able to go on company visits and really learn about that market, the culture there, the business practices taking place there. So it's also always called out as one of the more memorable aspects of the program. So if each of you can just share, the name of the city or the market that you went to, and what your experience was like, or if you had any takeaways from that week-long trip. Anyone can kick it off.
Happy to start. So the first year, the required one, our cohort went to Tokyo, Japan. And the second one that we went to that was optional the second year was Sao Paulo, Brazil. So Tokyo, Japan was thrilling for me. I was able to hit another continent I've never been to, going on a broad trip like that, especially in such a foreign country, and to be able to have something a little bit more built and scheduled for you, made it a little bit more comfortable for me to, you know, fly out there. And then also on top of that, you're getting an education in the macro and micro levels of the country that you're visiting in the city. It was, as Cheryl said, the best experience. Highly recommend. If you can, going on both the option, especially this optional one on the second year. You learn so, I mean, the way they structure the curriculum during that GIE, which is the global immersion experience, is they do both macro and micro views from business perspective, from the government perspective, or even startup perspective. They really broaden so that you kind of understand how the country is evolving, growing, rooms for improvement. I mean, they do put on some really cool companies to set up with. So we've had like Nissan, Shiseido. We went to the Port of Tokyo, Gartner Consulting Group. We went to visit them. A bunch of other things. It was truly one of the most memorable experiences. And I feel like that further solidifies your relationship and your network with your cohorts, since you do have free time at the end of the day. Definitely want to go back. I wish I could do more GIEs for the rest of my life with these. It's very nicely curated. They do an incredible job. I think from the admin perspective of putting it together a curriculum that really exposes you to the market that you're going to.
So I went for our first year, we just went this past March to Kenya, and it was an incredible experience, like truly the highlight. I'm jealous that we didn't get to go to Tokyo, but honestly, Nairobi, Kenya was amazing. I think, you know, it was definitely more of an emerging market, and there was a focus on kind of emerging technology, sustainability, banking, and finance. And so we got to see a really cool intersection of different like multinational corporations. We got to see like a startup entrepreneurial hub, and then just get immersed in the culture. A few of my cohort classmates decided we would spend a few days early, and so we were able to also go to the safari. I know several folks like had brought their like spouses or families out, and like before after the trip like also spent time like exploring the region. So it really, I can't like put into words, like it was just such a like the trip of a lifetime, like truly, and also like so educational. And I think like a lot of takeaways that we could do like for our project, you know, kind of thinking of innovative and creative solutions, and like thinking future forward, that could be applicable to like things that we're doing back here at home as well. And for our second year, I'll share that our cohort has the option of going to either Lima, Peru, or Bangkok, Thailand, and our cohort's pretty split. There's definitely a good chunk of us going to Peru. That's where I'm going in January, so we're definitely looking forward to it.
Fun. I think Crystal and Kathy, I want to go to both places you went to. I want to go to Kenya and Tokyo. And with our cohort, we went to Dubai, and that was super awesome. A lot of, you know, emerging technology, like Crystal was saying, that we got to see in Dubai. And I liked kind of the mix of the old and the new in the UAE, which was really cool to see. And like Kathy was saying, all that time with our cohort and building friendships, and it was just a lot of fun the whole trip. And we met with energy companies, Emirates Airlines, a commercial bank of Dubai. We went to the souk, met with an entertainment company, like every type of industry we met with. It was super cool. And yeah, it was an amazing trip. I can't wait for our next one, which is to Seoul, South Korea next year. So really looking forward to that. And it's, yeah, a trip of a life. It's a lot of fun.
Well, awesome. I'm really jealous. I would love to go to all of those places. I've not been yet. Definitely on my bucket list. All right. And then as well, Kathy's finishing up the program, and you're both in your Crystal and Michaela are in their second year. Have you noticed any ways that the executive MBA program has benefited you professionally or personally at this point in the program? Meaning like, have you had any like advancements at work, additional responsibilities, a promotion? And then in terms of your personal life, have you seen any differences there as well?
I'm happy to kick it off. So definitely seen an improvement for work where I've been taking on more responsibilities as I've been able to broaden my knowledge in certain areas and skill set that I know I was looking for, that the EMBA was able to provide, whether that was both soft or technical skills. Part of my job, there's a lot of evaluation. So there is a very good evaluation professor who does a wonderful job and a very thorough job of how to build out a DCF an area. So that kind of helped me use that and incorporate that into my job to the day to day. On top of that, I was able to take classes that broaden my horizon aside from financial services. So one area that I'm trying to expand in and get more experience in is within the fintech and trying to marry technology within what I do to my day to day. As I don't know if many people know, but in finance, the whole world survives off Excel, and it's been a struggle to get off of Excel. So trying to figure out ways of how to fix that or make it more manageable with different technologies that are out there. I think that's outside of that. I think that's the hardest part when you come into the second year and selecting your classes for the second year. There are so many classes I want to take at the same time, and that is the toughest decision, I think, to make, which classes to pick. I know one option that you do have is, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but I know once you graduate, you're still able to take classes at NYU forever for free. What is that called? Like,
We offer lifelong learning benefits.
there you
So
go.
you can audit elective courses in the executive
Yes.
MBA program for free each semester. I don't think there might be a cap of like 1 or 2 each semester. But then there are also executive education courses that you can participate in. I think there might just be a registration fee, some minimal cost. But you can do that as well for it's a benefit available to alumni.
And I know 100% I will be, because there was 2 semesters where I struggled so hard between 2 classes. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's one great benefit of being an alum of the program. Yeah.
I'll jump in on the question of what personal and professional development we've seen. So some of my classmates, we joke about the MBA thinking that we now have, that when we see different things, we start like analyzing it or strategizing, like in every day-to-day life. In one of our classes, the strategy class, we looked at Disney very intensely, and now I can't look at Disney without putting on this like MBA hat and being like, what's their strategy behind this? And so I think it gave me like more of a big picture view, but then also the ability to like be very granular on it too. So it just really like broadened my skills in every way possible. So it's been very exciting to see the growth. And then that trickles into your personal life too, because if you're feeling like you're learning a lot professionally, you kind of feel a little bit more confident, you feel better. It's a good feeling to achieve something, set a goal, like every little project you work on, you feel proud, like, hey, I got to learn this new thing. Or every new class you're in, whether it's accounting or finance, you're like, hey, I now took 1 or 2 or 3 things away from that class that I didn't know before. And just makes you feel proud to know that you learned something about financial statements and financial analysis. So yes, lots of personal and professional growth I've seen, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I'll echo everything that Kathy and Michaela said, especially on the confidence part. I think, part of like one of my like why reasons of going back to school was really that I wanted to like level up in my career, make a transition back to some sort of corporate space and just become a leader, in whatever role that I took on. And so I think I've definitely been able to apply that. Obviously, like I was able to make a pivot and kind of transition roles. So I'm happy to have achieved that. And now in my current like day to day, a lot of those year 1 classes, especially the quant ones like accounting and finance, and statistics, I find myself now like looking at the data. We handle a lot of like analysis day to day, and I'm like, okay, I can tackle this. It's not as daunting as it once seemed. And then also, especially like with second year classes, we're taking electives. Like Kathy said, there's so many great classes to choose from. Sometimes it's really hard. I'm actually also, we're able to take like up there's like a cap, I think, of like one class. Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong, but the part-time Langone program. So I'm actually taking additional like credits just because I want to kind of squeeze in some learning relevant to specializations that I'm looking in. And so just, yeah, there's a lot that you can kind of take and make out of it. And I think, again, like all of that also like trickles down, as Michaela had said, like personally, like I realize that I can handle so much more in my schedule. Not that I always want to be busy like this, but really like, I think I've really just stretched myself like personally and professionally and like grown so much in the past year.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Crystal. So it's students in the EMBA program are able to take, I believe, beyond their first semester. They have to do their first semester in the EMBA program, but beyond that, they can take one additional class through our Langone part-time MBA program. If there's like a course that we don't offer in the EMBA program that is interesting to them. All of that to say that those classes are available on a space available basis. If there is spaces, then our students definitely do take advantage of that. So that's another great, I think, aspect of joining NYU Stern and the executive MBA program, because you have so many options available to you beyond the like executive MBA curriculum. Yeah. Okay, so I think at this point I'll turn it over to audience questions. We did get some questions coming in through the Q&A. So I've just been looking through that. One question that I thought was interesting that I'll throw out to the group here is, what helped you make the decision between an MBA program versus an EMBA program? So versus an executive MBA. Any thoughts on that?
Flexibility is the first thing that comes to mind. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Go for it,
ahead, Chris.
Michaela. Keep going.
Oh yeah, just the flexibility that it is like kind of a part-time program. In New York, it's twice a month, every Friday, Saturday, and in DC, it's once a month, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So really lets you, manage your workload while taking the program. So when I started looking at NYU's different MBA programs, I saw that there was full-time. I think I saw one that was like night classes, and I'm not located in New York, so it was not going to work to get to New York every night. And then when I saw the EMBA program, I was like, this is perfect. This works so great with my schedule. Like, I have a daughter as well, so family and work, it worked really well. Anything else to add, Crystal or Kathy?
Yeah, I was gonna say the time, I would probably say time and money. I also knew like a lot of the full-time MBAs are geared more towards finance careers, and I wasn't necessarily looking to pivot completely into a different industry. So that for me, and also I couldn't afford to just not work. So the part-time option was, on the table when I came across the executive program. The fact that it was like accelerated and then had that weekend option, it really was like a good fit. And so, yeah, like again, it was like the best blend of kind of all the components I was looking for.
And to finish off, hold on. Yeah, I was on. To finish off, I think usually the MBA cohort or the groups are younger. I would say they're upper mid to maybe below 30 years old. I know if I think about myself at that time, that was only about 4 or 5 years ago for me. I knew I wanted to do the MBA, but also like what Crystal mentioned, I wasn't able to justify taking 2 years off and sacrificing 2 years of, salary and compensation I needed to pay. Part-time didn't appease to me, but full-time, I felt like I was able to at least have a cohort of people that are also looking to succeed or have succeeded, or they're just looking to get that extra accreditation of some sort. And it felt like I saw that when I was actually doing class visits prior to the program. That really helped me understand the differences between the full-time versus executive MBA. Personally, from what I saw, executive MBA there's a lot more discourse between the professors and the class as a whole. That made a difference in how I like to learn. And I know the curriculum is a little bit different. And like Crystal said, it's a lot more finance, maybe consulting focused for full-time MBAs, as people tend to look for that to pivot. For me, though, I moved from Chicago to New York, so EMBA made more sense based on flexibility as well.
Yeah, and then from an admissions perspective, I would also add that an EMBA program is great for someone who's looking to advance within their career and is already
Mhm.
on a track, and looking to really just move up within that industry, within that organization, within that space. A traditional MBA program is designed more for pivoters, people who are looking to make a larger career switch. So that may be helpful to whoever asked the question and anyone on the call here. Okay, moving on, we have another question. It's related to math. So the question is, would you say the EMBA program is as math heavy as an MBA program? And before I just get your perspectives, as an as an admissions representative, I wanted to add that the curriculum, and I can speak only to NYU Stern, but the curriculum across all three of our MBA programs here at Stern, the full-time MBA, the part-time MBA, and the executive MBA programs are fairly similar in terms of the core courses that students will take and the elective courses that they take in their second year, and toward graduation, completing the program. So the curriculum is the same, so it's not more math heavy in an EMBA program or in a traditional program. But we can take this question and kind of talk a little bit more about the quantitative side of the program. Like how did you all do, kind of jumping into your first year with accounting stats? Um, what else is there? Accounting stats,
Finance,
Corporate
there's
finance.
finance, yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Micro,
finance.
macro has a bit of math, yeah.
I'll let Michaela and Crystal, and then I'll finish since I have finance, so I'll give a different perspective.
Sure.
I can start because I mentioned accounting and finance. I mean, accounting and statistics. I will say like finance, like kind of, but yeah, like all the quant like classes were what I was like most apprehensive about. But I will say, like, honestly, the professors do a really good job of walking you through it. They give you all the tools and resources to like get through that. I wouldn't say I'm bad at math. Like, I like it, but I've never like had that level of detail in those particular like subjects. So it was, new to me, and there was like a learning curve. But like I said, the resources were great. Like our accounting professor literally held weekly review sessions and like went through all the problem sets. So I think that was like so instrumental for me, like just really getting it and then be able to like take it and like grasp that learning. There are other like, my study group, we leaned on each other to kind of get through and like check each other's work. And I honestly think like they weren't as bad as like I had anticipated, and I really did enjoy them. So it worked out in the end.
I agree with Crystal. The study groups, the problem sets, it allowed you to kind of take baby steps on the what we were learning, because it was kind of slicing the work, into these problem sets, into maybe 8 questions, really focusing in on those with your group. And then by the end of the course, you had learned a lot because you had these 5 different slices of material. I would say I was anxious for the math aspect of the courses, but it is completely doable if you're not math heavy or focused. But yeah, there is some derivatives and some formulas on different things that are very complex. But it's doable. Problem sets in your study group, and you'll be just fine. So.
And to add, so for me, I absolutely loved the quant classes. I mean, that's where I thrived. That was like my bread and butter. So for me, it was easier, I would say. But that also too was nice for me to kind of step up kind of part of my cohort. Not only was it for the study group, but we do have a huge group chat with everybody in our cohort. And so when people did have questions, whether it was myself, there was other people with finance backgrounds, were able to step in and they're willing to help. On top of that, I think, Crystal, you mentioned there are, like, for example, accounting. I know one of the professors, he's held weekly, what are they called? Like study sessions on a, say, Tuesday to go over any of the questions or if there's anything specific, or if there wasn't something scheduled, you could easily email them and they're happy to make time to answer any questions that you have. So there's many ways to manage it. Some people, yes, will struggle, but there is opportunities though to grow, whether it is leveraging, your cohort, your study group, or the professors or the TAs themselves. And it does become enjoyable. I think the professors do a wonderful job of helping those that are a little bit more advanced, but then also explaining it to those that are in the beginning or novice, or just, looking to get comfortable with the information itself.
Okay, awesome. Kathy, you must have been like a a lead in your study group for the finance
Very much so. In
classes
accounting.
for sure.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
fun. But I didn't
Awesome.
mind it. It was kind of nice because I think when you're after 10 years in your same role, you haven't thought about certain things. So it's kind of nice to loosen up that mindset a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. We had a question come in that I guess might be more applicable to me answering, but I will address it. The question is there flexibility in the pacing of the program, or is it strictly designed to run on a 22-month schedule? Um, so I'll take this one. The program is in an accelerated format. So it is designed to run within the cohort format for 22 months. It's 22 months of coursework, but from beginning to end of the program, it's approximately 2 years. So there is not much room for there's not much room to stop the program in between. It's a lockstep program for 22 months. And most students in the program do find that it's that it works for them because our students are taking 2 courses at a time while maintaining a full-time job, while managing their social life and family and friends as well. So it is definitely manageable the way that the program is set up and structured for our students. And then just talk a little bit about the class weekends themselves. When our students are on campus, whether in New York or in DC, they have a morning class. There are breaks built in between as well during that morning session. There's about an hour to an hour and a half for lunch during the day. And then there's an afternoon class that takes place also with breaks in between. So the program does consider all of those things for our students who are working professionals. And most of our students are able to finish the program in the 2-year time frame that it was designed for. Okay, so I don't think you all would have anything to add to that. But let me move on and see what the next question is here. So there is a question that came in about the investment in the program, obviously with the cost of the program being um, being an investment. I guess the question here is kind of open-ended and just in terms of how are y'all managing the cost of the program? Has the investment sort of paid off, been worth it so far in the program?
Since I'm towards the tail end, I'll kind of finish it, or I'll start it off. I would say yes, so far it has paid off in the sense that I have now the most expensive friends ever, but also at the same time, I've developed a whole new community of people that I never thought I would, become friends with or become acquainted with. I thought that's what made it worth it for me to be exposed and become close to people that have succeeded in their careers or continue to succeed or want to strive. I think seeing people at that type of level motivates you a little bit more outside. At the present moment, I'm still at the same job. Full disclosure, I am looking to pivot. So at the present moment, working, navigating the alumni networking, et cetera, to kind of figure out where I want to go next and being cautious of what steps I take. But I would say, yeah, it was the best 200,000 I've ever spent. Sure. Sorry, I shouldn't say the amount, but it was the best 200 amount that I've ever spent. And you manage it, you figure it out. There's financial aid in some capacities. I know the EMBA admins and Cheryl could help you more to discuss how to work through that. But for me at the present moment, it's been a wonderful payoff and surreal that it's almost done. But I'm glad that I get to at least leave with some new best friends that I never thought I would have. So.
I feel the same. It definitely was a mixture for me paying the program, but I think it was the most worthwhile investment in myself that I'll ever have. So, totally worth it, even only 1 year in. And I agree, I have 60 new friends. I've obviously gotten to know people from the other cohorts above and below us as well, part-time folks. Just being on campus, I think also exposes you to just all different kinds of folks. So truly in so many ways very worth the investment.
All right. We lost Michaela. She may be back on. The next question is related to classes. Are they predetermined or is it flexible? So I'll start by saying that the structure of the curriculum is that students take their core courses in the first year of the program. Those are predetermined, and all of the students take those classes together as a cohort. In our New York program, each cohort is about 60 students or so. In our DC program, our cohorts are about 35 to 40 students, so it's a little bit of a smaller group there. Um, in the second year of the program, when students move on to take their elective courses, there's a lot of flexibility there to really customize the curriculum and decide what you want to take in terms of what your career goals are, what your expectations are, for finishing the program. So that's just from an admissions perspective. I'll let Kathy and Crystal talk a little bit more about maybe like the elective offerings or kind of how you chose what electives you wanted to take in the second year. I don't know if there's anything you'd want to add about the core.
I was just gonna say I'll give Cheryl and the admission or like the EMBA staff like a quick shout out because I think that's like another big value add of doing the EMBA program is that like they truly schedule like everything for you. Like we just go to their office and like pick up books. So like that whole process has actually been really like seamless and smooth. So I think that also like alleviates like any stress you might have and like thinking about like, okay, do I have to like, sign up like at 12 p.m. on the dot to like get my classes. Like, no, you don't have to do any of that like you might have experienced in undergrad. So yeah, it was like really nice to just like go through all the same core classes in the first year with my cohort, like really get to know each other. And like now that I'm in my year 2 electives and we just started, like we miss each other. We're like seeing each other at the breaks and like we really are like I personally like focused on different specializations. So I'm like taking certain classes to fulfill like global business, change management. Whereas like my other classmates are doing like the quant classes like finance and real estate. And so like it's really kind of you can pick and choose what you're really interested in.
Yeah, similar, echoing Crystal, what she said. They do a wonderful job of providing you all the classes ahead of time so that you can review the curriculum that the professors have posted for this year. And you can review whether or not those classes are the ones that you want to take. When you sign up and you start the semester, you do have, is it 24 hours or less than 24 hours? Like, say you were between two classes, you didn't want the one you signed up for is not what you want and you want to switch. You do have it's a very short time window, but you are able to switch classes. So you're not, first day, you're a little bit flexible to figure out what you want to do if you want to make sure you want to stay those classes. But like Crystal said,
you have like 2 weekends to do that or something. It's definitely
ours was cool. I remember it was like, say a class starts on Friday, you had to make a decision by Saturday noon the next day to make the switch period. So I mean, it gives you at least roughly 24 hours to figure out if you want to stay in that class or not, or if you want to switch. But like Crystal said, there's a huge guideline of like if you want to get a specialization. They do a wonderful job of how to get to it, which classes are applicable to certain specializations. It's very easy. Gabby has been the one that has been wonderful in helping me how to get to what I want. And yeah, they do really tailor and make it easy for you to pick your schedule, what your class is, and they make it easy for you.
I'll jump in and say the matrix that we have on the specializations, it's like a one-pager. And it's like our bingo card. It's like I feel like I'm doing like complex math, being like, how can I figure out which combination? But it's very fun and very cool that we can pick our specializations and we can get up to 3 specializations and through Langone even take more classes and come back and continue to take more. So if you feel like you're missing out on something, there's still a chance to just keep going as much as you want to. So it's the specializations are great, and it's good that we start with the core classes to kind of give us that solid foundation or remind some of us that foundation because we're most of us are all in business here, but kind of give us that starting place and then dive back into where we really kind of want to go with things. So it's good.
Awesome. And I guess I wanted to just jump in because I believe class visits were mentioned a little earlier on. But class visits are a great part of the admissions process for anyone who's going through the process of applying now. and wants to sit in on one of our live EMBA classes, we actually offer the opportunity to go to our elective courses on a regular EMBA class weekend. So you're viewing a live class. You have the chance to see like the types of students that are in the classroom, the faculty member that's teaching that class. It's a really great way to get a sense of like your fit for like, would this be a program realistically for me? And to get a sense of like the classroom dynamics as well. I really encourage everyone to do that. Excuse me. I think it's a great experience during the admissions process. And you can do that at any point in the process after submitting a pre-assessment so that we can determine your eligibility to apply. We do have prerequisites in place. You have to have at least 6 years of work experience in order to apply, and you must hold a bachelor's degree. So you have to fill out that quick pre-assessment. I think it takes 5 to 10 minutes to complete. And you have to be determined by our admissions team as eligible to apply. And then from that point on, you can go ahead and schedule a class visit. People do it at different points in the process. So like if they're admitted and waiting to hear back, they may want to visit a class then. They may want to do it earlier in the process to like kind of weed out the schools that they're applying to. Really up to you. We have some information on our website about class visits if anyone on the webinar is interested in doing that. We only have a couple of minutes left. There was just 1 or 2 questions related to study groups and hours of coursework. So the first question was, how many hours did you need to dedicate towards coursework outside of the class hours, like per week or per month?
I think it varies depending on the class. I mean, it could be anywhere as low as 1 hour or 0 hours to 5 to 10 hours. I think it just varies, especially like right now, the classes that I'm in are private equity and real estate. That has been extremely exhausting. And I think this is actually the most amount of time I've actually ever spent on homework. And I actually had to dedicate a certain amount of time. And I think too, because it's some of it's, the concepts are novice and I'm not familiar with it, I do try to take the extra steps to learn and make sure I understand what the professor's teaching. It varies. It could be low. It could be maybe in the first year, I would say maybe max 5 hours, but maybe Crystal, Michaela could clarify more. It's been a long time from the first year.
I'll listen to you senior year.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, yeah, first year, I would say maybe on average, like an extra 2 to 3 hours per week. But a lot of that was like group work, or we were like working on different components. So it wasn't like too intensive. I think we talked about earlier, like trying to get things done in advance. Like for me, like it takes me the longest time to kind of like write it, like do a paper or something, like synthesizing my thoughts. And then the second is like reading everything that I need to. So I always make sure to carve out time. Funnily enough, like I know it's not as intense as PE and real estate right now, but I feel like also my electives, I'm doing crisis management and managing change. This is probably like the most reading that I've been doing. Like I actually read like a full book from our professor earlier in the summer. So I think it just depends. And again, like you kind of just carve out the time and like make it work.
Right. And I do think it's what you put into it, you get out of it. Like how we were saying, you can go in super prepared, and it's better to do it that way. You feel so much like better if you've actually read every bit of material. But sometimes, we'll be honest, there's sometimes a lot of reading or a lot of different things, and you might just skim or pick and choose. But if you can do, cross your T's, dot your I's on everything, you're going to get that much more out of it. But if you're going through a really crazy time and you can only read a couple of the readings, you'll be okay, but you get what you put into it for sure.
Okay, great. And with just a minute or so left, I'd love, excuse me. I'd love to end the session with just like what advice do you have to anyone that's on the call here in terms of applying to the program? If there's like one piece of advice you could give them, what would that be?
Do it. You're on this call for a reason. You already dedicated 1 hour just to listen to us. Whether it's NYU or not, you are curious to broaden your horizons and not be plateaued. You're more ambitious and you're curious. So if you're on this call, like Cheryl said, just do the pre-assessment. That'll give you at least a determination of whether or not you move forward and actually fully apply. I have zero regrets. Maybe I wish I did it sooner, but hey, can't change that. But it's been a wonderful experience. Truly the best.
I feel the same. Yeah, just shoot your shot. Like you don't want to like ever that was my biggest thing. Like I didn't want to look back in another 5 years and regret not doing it. So super happy that I did it. I feel like I said, just like expanded my mindset in so many ways. And like, yeah, it's totally like you are worth the investment.
I agree. If it's a goal of yours, you should go for it. Lifelong learning for forever. New global perspective, strategic thinking. Get your MBA hat on and come join us. So yeah. Well, we graduated by then, but still, you can. Well, maybe I might still be there, but or maybe Crystal, but not
But you'll be
Kathy.
part of the alumni now.
Yes, well, still.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you very much for your time. There were one or two questions that came in on the admissions process. And so I would be happy to answer those questions offline. I guess whoever had those questions, just I would recommend emailing our admissions office with those types of questions. We could definitely schedule a call to go over things related to the admissions process or the evaluation of an application. But this session was kind of just meant to like learn more about the student experience and our students' perspective thus far in the program. But if you do have additional questions that were not answered tonight, you're more than welcome to contact our admissions office. We'd be happy to schedule additional time for that type of call. But thank you again, Crystal, Kathy, Michaela. I really appreciate you all getting on tonight to talk about your experience in the program. It was I had a blast talking to you guys. It makes me just like really love my job. And love that you guys have such a great experience in the program and that we are bringing in the right people here at NYU Stern. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I hope you all have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, ladies.
See
Thank you,
you.
NYU. Thank you. Good luck.